Hello everyone, how are you doing? I hope you are doing well and you are doing good practice of the questions as well. So this is our last video and hopefully you are watching me for the last time and you won't be watching me again. So this is exam tips video and I've listed down few things on the board and we will go through all of these one by one. Now before we move to this stuff on the board as well, after hopefully you will pass this exam, and at any time in future if you are working in the practice, if you need any help with the taxation stuff, you can always go to gov.uk website where you will be able to find latest stuff with regards to taxation. So whichever thing you think that you have forgotten or you think that it has changed since you have passed it, then you can go on the website gov.uk. You will be able to find the latest tax rates, latest rules and everything. Say for example, if you don't know what are the rules regarding business property relief or agricultural property relief, just go on gov.uk and find, just type in that business property relief and whatever. So they will tell you each and every stuff. But that will be the latest one, so it will be up to the date on which you are searching on the internet. Now say for example for our Finance Act, current Finance Act, annual exemption is different, whereas which you will find on the internet on gov.uk, it will be the latest one. It depends on when you are searching it. Alright, so whenever you are in the future, so if you need any help with the taxation, you can always search on the Google and gov.uk is a website where you will be able to find latest tax stuff. Also, when you are doing the practice on the practice and revision kit, please make sure that you make yourself familiarized with the tax rates and allowances section. Now on the end of the BPP exam kit and hopefully in Kaplan as well, at the end of the exam kit, there are a few pages given to you which says tax rates and allowances. Now this is the tax table which will be given to you in the exam, so that that is given to you so that you can use it effectively. So when you are doing the practice, when you're doing the practice of the questions, please make sure you use that tax rates and allowances section so that you know this is inheritance tax on second page, that is capital gains tax on the third page, so that when you're doing the exam in exam hall, it will save you a lot of time, because every second is important in the question in the exam hall. All right, and our first topic is as well time management. So time management is very crucial, and you know that you are doing hopefully last exam, and it is your final exams anyway. Even if you are taking 3 exams, it is still your final exam. In your ACCA career, it happened to almost every student. In many of the exams, you might have ran out of time, so you haven't been able to complete all of the paper. Reason is not that your exam was lengthy, reason is you have less practice. So if you're doing less practice, you are not good at the calculator, you're not using your time effectively, that is very bad. Right? So whenever you're doing the question, try to use the calculator, because it will save you a lot of time. Because the more good you are on the calculator in your own room, it will be easier for you in the exam hall, because you will be just looking at the numbers in the question paper and you will be doing like that. All right? So you must use the calculator and tax rates and allowances section as well when you're doing the practice. Again, for time management, when you are going to the second section of exam, where it is optional exam, optional section of the exam paper, where you have to select, where you have to choose the questions, please don't spend too much time thinking about which question you are going to attempt. So what nice approach to do that is just look at the requirements, and if you see any good, if you look at the requirement, so just see that which requirement are you good at, just select that one and just go have a go at it, because you can't question spot anyway, so you have to prepare the whole syllabus anyway. So you will be good, I assume that you will be good at all the syllabus areas. So when you're choosing the question on the optional section of the exam paper, do not spend much time, because many students I've seen spend a lot of time choosing the question, which question they are going to choose, and ultimately they are going to waste the time, a lot of time. So it's always better to select a question which you look at the requirement, just pick one in a minute or so. Don't waste too much time. Another approach to select the optional questions is that when you are reading the question, say for example there are 3 optional questions, you are reading the first question, just read the requirements. Now in them requirements there will be some part which is general part. Say for example it says tell me benefits of lifetime transfer for inheritance tax purposes. What are the benefits for that, right? Or it will say letting relief, or something like that, right? Or furnished holiday letting. What are the benefits of furnished holiday letting? What are the conditions of furnished holiday letting? Stuff like that. If it is asking any general information, the more general information you have in that question, just select that question because it will be easier for you. General information is just copy paste from the notes to the exam paper, and it will earn you very, very easy mark, and it will save you a lot of time as well, right? So that is another approach. Whichever way you feel good, you can choose that. The third and last approach to deal with the optional questions is don't look at the 5th question, just do the first 4 questions. Don't look at the last question, just leave it. Whichever, even if it is easy or the tough one, just leave it. Don't even look at that question because it will just be you will just be confusing yourself. So there are 3 different approaches. It depends on your mind. So whichever way you feel good, just choose that option and just go with it, but don't spend much time doing that. All right. Now, and the next one is in our list, question practice. Question practice is absolutely vital. I have been telling you a lot of times in our lectures, and we have done a lot of questions in our lectures as well. I've tried to do as many questions as I can. I hope that you have listed down the questions which we have done during our lectures and during our classes, and I've also listed down the list of questions as well, which I think are worth doing, which are must-do questions. You must do them from BPP exam kit. Now, some of the questions which I have given you the list, some of the questions we have already done in the classes, and some of the questions you might not have seen, we haven't done in our classes. So them are the list of questions which are must-do questions. It doesn't mean that you will find an exact question in the exam hall. It is not a guess. However, because it is a list of questions, I've selected them questions so that it examines every part of the P6 exam. So it will give you good practice. So every question almost will be different than others. So it will give you a variety of different questions so that you can practice on each syllabus area. So whenever you go to exam hall, you are confident in that. All right. And if I emphasize on the question practice, please remember the question which I've listed, which are must-do questions, you do them again and again. If you think that you have done it once, do them again. Don't go to other questions because every question will be different from the first question anyway, right? So it's always better to be confident on the questions which you have already done, because it will be examining the core syllabus areas of P6. So if you are confident with one question, just do it again. Do it again. So at least do it 3 times so that you are confident on that. And I would say that do the questions which I have listed, do them again and again instead of going for other questions, because there are unlimited questions if you want to do the different questions. I've seen students who are doing this question, then they say I've finished this BPP exam kit, I want to do Kaplan as well, I want to do other exam kit as well. So they are looking for different stuff. But when they come back to the BPP exam kit, they can't solve the question which they started with, the first question which they did. So it's so obvious. So it's always better to just stick to one plan, just stick to these questions and just do them again and again instead of looking for different stuff. I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that as well, right? And again, if another thing as well, it is especially bad for the candidates who are sitting only one exam because they've got a lot of time. If you are sitting for one exam, it is normally a negative point, because candidates who are sitting just one time, they think, I've got a lot of time anyway, so instead of doing just these questions, why don't I do other questions as well? Now, having said that, these kind of candidates tend to fail because they just spread their time according to different to the different exam kits. So what they should be doing, they should be just concentrating, even if they have extra time, they should be spending on the same questions which I have listed down, or whichever questions you think or your tutor has given you. Right, so that's the best way to do it. If you have 2 exams, then it's fair enough, because the candidate who is sitting for 2 exams, or if you're genius, you're sitting 3 exams, then them candidates will be concentrating less on these questions because they have got other papers as well, so they're spending time there as well, so they will be just doing this. Now these candidates, because they are just doing these questions, these candidates will be better off because they are just doing the few questions and they are just grabbing the knowledge out of that. Right? So my top tip for question practice section is just do these questions which I've listed down and do them again and again. Next one is notes theory. The notes are very, very short. I hope that you would appreciate the fact that these are very short notes and very comprehensive as well. I've given a lot of information in them, and these notes are more than enough to get you more than 75 marks, I would say. Even if you want to get 75 plus marks, these notes are more than enough for you to get them marks. Now theory, especially I've emphasized the word theory because in order to get the good grades in P6 and to pass this exam, theory is very, very important, unlike F6 where the theory was not as important as it is in P6, because in F6 level, that was fundamental level, the calculation was more important than theory. However, in P6, theory is very, very important. So whatever the advantages, whatever the conditions are, whatever the list of conditions, advantages, drawbacks and all that, learn them by heart, and you should have them on fingertips. You know them on the fingertips. Only then you will be able to succeed. Notes are very short, so make sure you know every rule in the notes. If you know every rule in the notes, I can bet that you will be able to pass with question practice as well. All right. So let's move to the next section. It says professional marks and ethical marks. Now professional marks, report writing and the way you communicate the information and the clarity of the question and stuff like that. These things will earn you some easy marks. Now in each exam paper you have seen that there are few professional marks. At this level many students I have seen know about the professional marks, but they don't they tend to not apply that into the questions. Now try to adopt that approach and try to apply into the questions. Do a question where it says write a letter. Do a question where it says write a report. Now how to write a report and how to write a letter or how to write a memo, I've listed down the questions on the on the website where you will be able to find. Among them questions, there are few questions which ask you to prepare the letter, which ask you to prepare the memo. So if you do all of them questions and just find out one of these questions, and a couple of these questions basically will ask you to prepare the memo, will ask you to prepare the letter as well, and just note down the format of that, and that's very, very easy, and it will earn you very, very easy marks. All right. And while making the answer, because it is optional paper, try to be professional, because you are going to be a qualified accountant. Don't make your rough calculations, just try to be neat as you can, so that it will be easier for you, it will be easier for examiner to mark, because whenever examiner picks your paper and to mark your exam, the first impression is going to be your writing, and writing means the presentation of the exam paper, the way you have presented the exam paper. If it is rough, so examiner will say, oh my god, how to mark it? I don't know how to mark it. If your information and the answers are all over the place, then it will be difficult to mark, and examiner or marker won't be happy. So if you make your marker happy, if your answer is marker friendly, then obviously you will be able to get good grades. And ethical marks as well. I think I've indicated in one of the previous videos that ethical questions and ethical portion of the questions are very, very important. I've seen 90% of the past exam include same sort of questions about ethics. If you are a qualified accountant and if your client is playing up with the rules, what to do, how to report, how to tell the client what to do, and stuff like that, and the penalties and all that. Now this is the information which is included in the notes and in the questions as well, which I have listed down the questions. In them questions, this requirement has come in a couple of times, so you will be able to find them questions and you will be able to answer them. and these ethical marks will get you very easy marks. And if I add these marks, ethical marks, into professional marks, these come to 10 marks. And in P6, 10 easy marks are not a small thing. When you get some easy marks, 10 easy marks, say for example, you only need 40 more marks to get the 50, right? So ethical marks and professional marks are very, very important. A question approach, if we talk about the question approach, when you see a big question, or even it is a small questions, because there are the questions normally are very, very big for P6 and for other professional exams as well. Now, because it is a lot of information, you can't just read it. Even if you read it, you will have to read it again. So the easier way is, because the questions are bigger, examiner has given you facility. Examiner has divided the requirements into different sections as well. It is A requirement, then it is B, then it is C, and in A as well, it is A1, A2, A3. So why is examiner dividing the requirements into different sections? For your own ease, so that you can easily navigate the information. And when you see the requirement A, it says requirement A1. Now when it says requirement A1, it is asking, say for example, about jams. Now it is saying that calculate the tax liability for jams. Now in the big scenario, just find out the word jams. It will be heading with the jams. Now just go to that heading, and it will be, that requirement will be only relevant to that scenario, that portion of the small scenario. So what I mean to say is, just when you're doing the questions, just learn this method as well, how to navigate between the scenarios according to the requirement. Because although the questions are bigger, but the requirements are divided into different sections, and that big scenario as well, that is divided into different headings. Now them headings the examiner has only given you so that you can easily navigate between the different information. When you see the requirement, just go to that relevant portion only. Don't read the whole question for that requirement section. So that is the way to deal with the questions. And read the requirement first, then go to the scenario. All right. Another point as well for a question approach. In the questions, in the requirement section, some requirements are specific to the scenario, whereas other requirements are not specific to the scenario. Now, some requirements which are specific to the scenario, them requirements as well, sometimes asking general advice. Now, say for example, it says, tell me the benefits of furnished holiday letting. Now, when I said tell me, in the question it will say, tell Henry, or tell I don't know, James, or George. So tell George about the lifetime benefits of inheritance tax. Now it is general information, but examiner is asking to tell James. So when you are answering that question, although you are just copying from the notes, but you will be incorporating the name of the James into the scenario. So you will say that James should do that, James should do that, James should do that. When you are incorporating the name into the scenario, then the examiner will say, yeah, he's right, he knows what he's doing, because you are putting the name of the client into the scenario. Because at P6 level you are addressing your clients, so you should be doing professional way. A client will like it when you are using their name every time you are telling them to do something. All right. So that is a question approach. And I said that when it is general information, which will be just copy paste from the notes, and sometimes examiner says tell him information, or in other ways examiner says just tell me benefits of I don't know, inheritance tax or inheritance tax lifetime transfer. I'm giving an example of it again and again because it is one of my favorite topics and it has been examined in the previous sittings many times. Anyway, so examiner is asking that tell me benefits of furnished holiday letting in general. If it says in general, then you will just copy from the notes into the exam answer sheet. All right. So you don't need to do anything with the name of the individual. Now, when you're dealing with the question, when you're doing the question, just do the question which deals with general information first, then go to the scenario specific questions. Because scenario specific question takes more time, and this general information is just copy paste from the notes anyway. You will have them on your fingertips anyway, so you will know the rules and you will know the benefits, conditions and all that. So you won't face any problem unless you are competent on the notes theory. So if you are competent on the notes theory, you won't face any problem on the general information. Finally, work hard and have faith. So you can do it if you do practice, and just don't panic. Just do a lot of practice of exams, and practice makes a man perfect, as they say. So if you're doing a lot of practice, you shouldn't have any problem in exam hall. Many candidates are passing every day, so you are not alone. You are no different than others. All right. So I wish you good luck, and I hope that I will not see you again. And ta-da, I would say, and goodbye and good luck.